I think most of us have probably been a part of or seen ministries or programs that may be past their prime, and the question is, how do we know whether we should continue on with it or if we should let it go? Well, today on Practical Church Planting, we're going to give you 5 signs it's time to stop a ministry or a program.
Welcome back to Practical Church Planting, where in 15 minutes or less, we'll give you practical tips, advice, and encouragement to help you plant and grow healthy churches. My name is Brian Androsian, and joining me is Dylan Dodson, and today we're talking about 5 signs that it's time to kill a ministry or program.
That's so mean. I was going to say, stop, but Brian wanted to go with the, more emphatic thing.
Kill it.
But regardless, how do you know when it's time to let it go?
Yes, time to let it go.
Here are a couple of reasons. The first one will be obvious, and the next ones won't be as obvious. But number one, no one is showing up. Or you've been doing it for a while and it's declining. So we're not talking about like the initial starting it out. It's a monthly thing or weekly thing. Like it's going to take time. But if you've been doing it for a while and if people are showing up less or they're not showing up at all, it's a very obvious sign that maybe this shouldn't be here. I remember talking, I might have said this before, talking to somebody once about a decision that we had to make at New City about changing something. And I was like, is this bad if we change it because we've been doing something and it's like very clearly not working? And he said to me, most of the time, people know when something needs to change, and they're wondering why the leaders aren't doing anything about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, very good. And so we changed it right away. And so likely, if it's discouraging to you that nobody's showing up, other people are also seeing it. And so, I don't know, maybe you just need permission. But just like if no one's showing up, it's the mission that's important, not the method of what we're doing. It's a pretty obvious sign that maybe it's time to move on.
Yeah, this seems like the obvious one, and it kind of is. I mean, if no one's showing up, that means it's not working. But I think we can let our preferences and what we want to work get in the way of that and kind of blind us. And our pride, if it was our idea, our pride, definitely. And to think that maybe there's a reason behind it, and maybe sometimes there is, but sometimes we just got to be honest with ourselves, and maybe our great idea is not such a great idea.
So again, that one might be obvious. No one's showing up.
Yep.
Number 2, that kind of has to do with no one showing up, is that the resources are better allocated somewhere else. So everything that we do, we only have a certain amount of money, a certain amount of people, a certain amount of time, all that sort of thing. And if you're pouring, even if it's not a lot, but it's just, that could be going elsewhere into something that is not working, a very, maybe if you're afraid of what people are going to think or say, like just a very kingdom mindset thing to do is, okay, this isn't working. It would be better if we spent this time, energy, and effort somewhere else.
Yeah, there's only, like you said, there's only so many things we can do as a church. And at times, doing something that may be great means not doing something else.
Right.
Pretty much always, that's what it means. And so making those tough decisions of maybe something is working a little bit or it doesn't really seem to be working. However, we could use our money or our resources or our people, this other thing that I'm very confident will work and have reasons to, not just my own pride or, not something like that. But yeah, I think it's definitely a legitimate reason.
And again, it can be hard to stop things, especially if they've been going for a while.
Yeah.
But you can't say yes to everything. And so maybe that is just helpful for you to realize, maybe I'm afraid of the backlash of not doing this or whatever. But it is stopping us from doing something I think God wants us to do or something that we can try.
Yeah.
Which we would say is maybe he's not being as faithful. Like if the goal is faithfulness, not trying to like impress and make other people happy, then it's very obvious this isn't working. Let's put this energy, resource somewhere else. And even if you don't have another idea, but it's just wasteful what you're doing.
Yeah.
Well, that's not good either.
Yep.
So the resources are better allocated somewhere else could be a reason. And you'll probably know that pretty intuitively. Like, that could be a reason why it's time to stop.
Yeah.
Or kill.
Or
ministry, a program.
Yes.
Here's number 3, which the longer New City has been in existence, which I know is not very super long. That doesn't even make grammatical sense what I just said.
Well,
I believe this more and more and more, and yet it's the one thing that I think people won't do, and that is simply this. If you are, as a leader, are not excited about it, other people won't be as well.
Yeah.
Because you're a normal person, so if you're not excited about it, probably other people won't as well. But also, if you're the leader and you're not passionate about it and encouraging people, then where are they going to get that from to make this ministry or program happen?
Yeah.
We've used that decision a lot of times here. In fact, we literally last week decided to stop a ministry here at New City Church. Kill a ministry at New City Church for some of these reasons. But you want to know the biggest reason we were like, it's time? Because those of us that were leading it were like, we're not excited about this anymore. Like showing up to this thing is like, I have to be there. Now that's going to happen sometimes.
Sure.
But it was never like, I'm looking forward to this. Or if I did not have to be there, I wouldn't go.
Yeah.
Like that's how it was for me this last few times. Like I wouldn't go if I didn't have to be there. And so if you're not excited about it, it probably means other people aren't, but also means that you're not rallying people and encouraging people. Just because you're not excited about it doesn't mean, in another church or another ministry setting, it wouldn't work, but you need a leader that's behind it. And if you're not, or whoever's in charge of it, it will show.
Yeah, I think this is one that we can feel guilty about because we don't want to think that, well, just my preferences are making all the decisions of the church. But most of us are not as good at faking things as we think we are. And so if we're not excited about it, it's going to, like you said, it's going to show. People are going to be able to tell. And that's another reason that it's going to start declining.
And here's the thing. Let's say you are a better than average faker.
Sure.
You still won't be as excited about it and passionate about it as if it was something you actually wanted to be a part of.
That's true.
And so what I would do if I were you is if you're thinking about killing a ministry program, and I would take a few people that you trust that won't get upset aside and ask them, say, don't even tell them the reason why. Say, are you excited about this thing? Do you look forward to this thing? I bet most of them, if not all of them, would say, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
Which will show you it's time to move on.
Yeah.
So if you as the leader, as the other leaders, if nobody's excited about it, again, it's time to go.
And I mean, as a leader, as a pastor, or as a leader, you're going to be excited about the things that work, even if it's not necessarily your specific passion. If there's a ministry that's going on, that's not necessarily your favorite thing. If it's working and you're the one leading the church, you're going to be excited about it. So if you're not excited about it, it's probably not because it's just not your preference. There's probably a reason behind it.
And here's the thing too, like, let's say what you're just going to stop doing is a very good thing. Like, let's just say it is a good thing, but it's just not working for you guys.
Yeah.
I bet someone else that was excited about it may, if it's a good ministry program, may be able to make it work. But if you don't have that person, like, why? Don't spin your wheels. Like, just again, if you're not excited about it, other people probably aren't as well. Ask them. That is, don't feel prideful or selfish, I guess, because again, you only have so much energy as well. And so if you can't give 100% effort because you just don't have any desire, then it's probably not going to go that well.
Time to kill it.
Yep. If you're a leader, not excited about it. Here's number 4. We've kind of alluded to this one. But if you're only doing it to keep people happy, it's probably time to go. In other words, if the main reason you're doing something is because people are going to be upset if you stop.
Yeah.
etc. Now, here's the deal. Like, let's say you're a new pastor at a church or whatever, and you know, there's a time and a place. Like, you got to be sensitive. You can't just come in there and change everything right away. But that is a good indicator that this thing needs to go at some point. If the only primary reason that you're doing it is to keep people happy, and this is a test of a leader, if they'll do the right thing and the good thing opposed to the keep everyone happy where they are thing. Like, a leader is courageous and is not afraid to fail, do this in a humble way. But to me, that's a sign to me of a good leader is are they going to do something about it, or are they not going to do anything because they're afraid what people are going to think? Yeah,
I think you need to find kind of that sort of in between, I guess you could say. I don't think it's a sign of a good leader to just slash and burn everything, at the first sign of something going wrong, and to not seek counsel. But at the same time, you can go too far the other way and spend your entire life seeking counsel, quote unquote, but then never making a decision. And so I think you do need to find that kind of medium. But at the end of the day, you do need to. You're going to be making a ton of decisions that people don't like. As a leader in church, it's just going to happen. So get comfortable with it, because it's going to happen.
Larry Osborne's book, I think we talked about before, called Lead Like a Shepherd. One of his chapters was just very helpful for me. He said the problem with leaders, especially young leaders today, is learning to live in the frustration of people who don't understand all the reasons why something is happening will be frustrated with you.
Yeah.
And you can't explain every decision and every reason to every person. You've got to be able to live with the frustration. And that a strong leader can do that, not in a way that you don't care what people think,
right?
But you've got to let people you got to be okay with people misunderstanding you and being frustrated with you because they don't know all the facts. That's just going to happen.
Yeah, that's good.
And so again, if the main reason you're doing it is to keep people happy, it's a sign that this is not. It's a sign that the method of your ministry is more important than the mission. If that's the thing. So, I mean, it could take a lot of vision casting. It's okay for people to be upset. Like, don't be mad that people are upset, especially if it's a ministry or program that really influenced and changed their life. Just talk about how this was really helpful at a time. We're trying something else. Don't diminish what it is. Don't talk bad about it. But that is a sign that it might be time to kill something or to move on.
Right.
If you're only doing it to keep people happy. And number 5, lastly, which is also one that maybe, you feel bad about, but it's just true, is that if it won't survive without the staff, it might be a good time to kill off the ministry. You know what I mean? Like, for the one that we recently just stopped, we realized that if the staff wasn't showing up, there wouldn't be enough people to make it happen. In other words, if the ministry is growing and thriving and whatever, it shouldn't be dependent on 1 or 2 or 3 staff members. Like, it should be able to do it on its own.
Run without you. Yeah.
But this one was not doing it. Like, if we didn't come, it would not be able to function really. And so that's just a great showing that it's like, okay, if you have to be at it every time, it may show that, hey, this isn't working out. This is not what we should spending our time and resources on. We should focus on things that are actually growing and helping people, developing other leaders.
Yeah.
Again, for our case, we're like, we were not excited about it personally. And then we realized, hey, if we're not there, this thing wouldn't even happen.
Yeah. No, I think that's good. I mean, if it's declining to the point where it's that noticeable if staff doesn't show up.
Right.
I mean, this is all obviously dependent on the size of the church and things
Right.
like that, but then that's probably a pretty clear indicator, especially if you don't have another leader that is running it. If this is something that staff run, if you don't have a leader that's running it and taking their own thing, but staff is running it, then and staff isn't there, or it can't survive without staff there, I guess I should say.
Either with not just running it, but even just not having enough people.
Yeah.
Like if the staff have to come so that's not awkward, well then, again, we're not talking about brand just starting and whatever. We're talking about it's been going on for a while. It's been declining a little bit.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh yeah, like if you took us out of the picture, like this wouldn't even happen.
No one would be here. So taking all these 5 reasons into account, how much time would you give a ministry or program before considering giving it the axe?
I feel like that in some ways it's kind of hard to answer in the sense of how frequently you do it. Let's just say it's a monthly thing. I'd probably give it like 6 months. Unless it's like something you're very obviously just trying. Like if we tell everyone, hey, we're going to just try this and see how it goes. If it's a weekly thing, you don't have to go as far. Like maybe, we're discussing moving to 3 services. And the way we're going to share it the first time, say, we're just going to try this for 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's very intentional. But, I'd probably give it 5 or 6 tries. That's weeks, months. Again, it depends on what it is. But, don't stop it right away. But for us, the thing that we stopped, it's been almost a year.
Yeah.
And it's less people have been a part of it. We're not excited about it anymore. And again, if the staff wasn't there, we're taking our own advice. In other words, that we don't just say things that could work or should be. Like we are actually taking our own advice.
You know why we're taking our own advice?
Why is that?
Because it's practical.
Yeah, that's right. Practical church planning. So, hey, thanks for being with us again today. Here are the 5 reasons that you should, as Brian is so excited about, kill a ministry or program. Number 1, if no one is showing up. 2, the resources. If the resources are better, allocated somewhere else. 3 is you as the leader or the leaders aren't excited about it. 4, if you're only doing it to keep people happy. And 5, if it won't survive without the staff. So, hey, thanks for being with us today on Practical Church Planning. Brian, where can they go if they want to ask us a question?
Oh, a site called practicalplanting.com/questions.
/questions. If you submit it, anything about ministry or church planning, we'll cover it in a future episode. You can also go to YouTube, subscribe to the channel, or we also have a Facebook group page you can watch it. But if you have a group you want to talk with other church planners and people in ministry, check out the Practical Church Planning group. And thanks for being with us today. We'll be with you next time on Practical Church Planning. Thanks so much for watching this episode of Practical Church Planning. Whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or Practical Planning, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, make sure you like or subscribe or do whatever it's telling you to do or should do on that platform.
And hey, if you are so tired of looking at our ugly faces, but you're not tired of listening to our beautiful voices, then you can find our podcast if you just search Practical Church Planning on iTunes or Google Play. Make sure not to just find it, not just to listen, but to subscribe.
Make sure you subscribe. Brian, tell them to subscribe.
Subscribe.
See you next time.